Every year, this time of year, I see many Christians debate the celebration of Halloween and whether we as Christians should celebrate Halloween. And I understand the logic behind not celebrating it. There is a lot of paganism involved in it. But I want to interject a little bit of logic into how we could possibly participate in it. Let me give you a few examples. When Jesus and his disciples walked the earth, they walked amongst the Gentiles, the outcasts, and the sinners. And in Jewish tradition, they tried to stay away from the Gentiles, the sinners, the pagans. I spoke a few days ago about the outer court of the temple. When Jesus cleansed the outer court, he cleansed it because the money exchangers were doing things to try and keep the pagans away. And I just feel like as Christians now in modern day, we're kind of doing what the Jews did back in those days to try and isolate ourselves from the world, keep the world away from us, and let's just be in our safe spot. And I think of all those little zombie movies, where the people, they try and hold themselves up in the house to try and stay away from the zombies. And what ends up happening is the zombies overtake the world. And as Christians, we are called to be in the world, but not of the world. And we're not doing that right now. We're trying to isolate ourselves and trying to, with everything like Bad Bunny in the Super Bowl, let's not have him in there. Let's make him feel unwelcome. Let's shun him like the Jews would shun the Gentiles and the outcasts. Let's make them outcasts. And I really don't feel like that's the best thing to do. So let's talk about how this can be interjected into Halloween. Besides teaching amongst the outcasts and the sinners, Jesus, he ate with tax collectors. He stayed with Zacchaeus, I believe was a tax collector. He let sinful women wash his feet. And he talked to the Samaritan woman at the well. The Jews, they were forbidden. They just did not talk to Samaritans. And, for him to do that would be the equivalent of participating in Halloween. And stick along with me here on this, because I'm going to tell you how you can participate while still being a Christian, still pleasing Jesus. You can make Jesus happy by participating in Christmas. Okay? Not only did Jesus do it, but the disciples did. Paul also, who technically wasn't a disciple, but I like to think of him kind of as a disciple, he was known for preaching to the Gentiles, which was forbidden. Matthew, he hosted a sinner in Luke 5:29. Philip, he preached to the eunuch, and eunuchs back then were not allowed to worship. Peter, he declared Gentiles clean. That was forbidden. And the church at Antioch, since we're talking about Halloween and paganism, pagans were widespread in the church of Antioch, and the Christians in Antioch preached to the people in Antioch. They went amongst the pagans in Antioch, so much so that they weren't known as the Christians back then. They were known as the Christians of Antioch because they were so separated. These people from Antioch who went amongst the pagans and brought them into the church and spread the gospel to them and converted pagans to Christians. So how could this apply to Halloween? Well, again, we're called to be in the world, but not of the world. So no, we're not supposed to celebrate sin. We're not supposed to be doing sinful things. But so if you've got a problem with alcoholism, no, don't go into a bar. Don't be in that part, because you will become of that part. But if you wanted to go into a bar and preach the gospel, you could try it. You might get beat up. But you could do something like that. If you feel comfortable going into a situation where sin is occurring and preach the gospel, Jesus loves that. So why are we so, oh, we got to stay away from this. I just don't understand that. And so if you've got a child and you want to go trick-or-treating, I don't see a problem with that, as long as you tell the child that, we're not going to dress up as, the devil. We're not going to dress up as, horrible things, but we'll dress us because we are Christians and we don't believe that. Okay. And your child can then spread that message to their friends, and that in just some small way is spreading the word. Now, if you don't have children, you can also participate by in Amazon, you can buy the little Jesuses. Everybody needs a little Jesus in their life. Well, you give out candy to children that come trick-or-treating and give them a little Jesus. It just doesn't seem like this is some profound thought here. I mean, we're called to be in the world, but not of the world. So why are we isolating ourselves from everything and saying, stay away from me because I want the world to spread because I refuse to go in it and preach the word? So that's my message for today, is I just don't understand why we are turning this into such a tremendously horrible thing and saying, no, we're not going to participate in this. We're not going to go into the world and spread the gospel. We're going to isolate ourselves and let the world spread itself.